Well, well, well. We have reached another week, and we find ourselves in a position where I wish we had more good news. I really, really wish we had more good news, because Lord knows the topics this week are a little
Heavy.
rough. I'll just put it that way. Rough is a good word. This week we're going to be talking about the Netflix Devil May Cry. We've also got the stuff with the Switch 2, which could have been great news. Now it's... And then, of course, we're going to talk about John Boyega not shutting up, and Russell Brand being accused of some very dark things. All that and more, or maybe not more, this week on the Grind. All right. So, this is going to be kind of a rough start, so let me introduce everyone who is here with me. Of course, for those who do not know, my name is Micah Curtis, the president and CEO of Grindstone Arts. With me this week is my social media manager, Serena.
Hello.
Editor-in-chief, Mike.
Oh.
And our head of logistics, Xavier.
Hello. I am me.
He is indeed him. And this, unfortunately, is a poor imitation of Devil May Cry. So yeah, literally just 2 days ago, the Netflix version of Devil May Cry dropped on the platform. It was created by Adi Shankar, one of the people behind the Netflix Castlevania series, and this is going to be an interesting little discussion. Now, did any of the rest of you watch this, or have you only seen the fallout on Twitter?
I only seen the fallout on Twitter. I have no interest in watching it. Given
I've
what
watched
people
Fallout. I've seen some of the episodes and a lot of clips. I've seen enough.
I've been surrounded by normies, and that's all they've been talking about.
So, this is headed up by Adi Shankar. Now, Adi Shankar is he's an interesting discussion, or at least he was up to this point, because a lot of people had pretty positive opinions on him, because he was one of the guys who had written what was called the Apu problem, where he had come up with a interesting remix of Apu that was not what we ended up, it wasn't the one that started the whole backlash against him or against the character. But he's kind of a weird guy. He has done some positive things. He had worked on what was it? I think that he worked on Punisher Dirty Laundry. Yeah, he was the producer on that.
I believe he also did that live action trailer for like a grown up version of Power Rangers.
Yes, he did. And he's been the executive producer on quite a few things before he did Castlevania. Machine Gun Preacher, The Grey, Dread, Killing Him Softly, Lone Survivor. He was an executive producer on all of those. But he did
Bro
really...
likes himself. Bro really, 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 really likes himself some good intellectual properties, but I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, he ended up one of his influences, or so he said, was Warren Ellis, who's my favorite writer of all time. So the weird thing about Adi Shankar is he actually does have good taste. But he ended up I feel like when he really got his name was working on Castlevania as one of the executive producers, and he was one of the showrunners on that. He worked directly with Warren Ellis, because Warren Ellis had been trying to get a Castlevania animation done for like 10 years beforehand, and it was considered to be kind of like in development hell for a long time, because he basically wanted to take the very bare bones story of Castlevania 3 and turn it into something a bit more, which of course ended up happening. And I'll talk about my feelings on like Castlevania at some other point, because I have feelings on it that are going to be different than other people's opinions, but there will be some places where I also agree with people. But regardless, he was the executive producer on that, and helped run it. He also worked on Castlevania Nocturne as an executive producer. The less said about that, but the better. But he wasn't a showrunner. He was a showrunner on Captain Laserhawk, which I don't think anybody watched.
I didn't.
Yeah, I don't think anybody I completely forgot that even existed. But this was supposed to be kind of like, a lot of people were kind of treating this like his big coming out party. Because apparently, according to him, he's a big Devil May Cry fan. I say according to him because it's kind of a... This is supposed to be in such a weird place. They cast... So what this is basically supposed to be, it's supposed to be a completely different Devil May Cry timeline. Where Dante... the events of Devil May Cry 3... It have not happened. None of that has happened. Anything like that. Dante is pretty young in his devil hunting days, and basically there is a demon called the White Rabbit that is doing some terrorist shit, trying to get his hands on Dante's medallion, and trying to effectively take the barrier between worlds that Dante's father Sparta had erected between, hell and the earth, and tear it asunder. And it starts pretty simple, but they do a lot of things that are really, 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 really weird. Devil May Cry has never been what I would call complex. The deepest the story ever got was in the most recent game, in DMC5, where there was some father-son stuff going on with Virgil and Nero, who it was finally confirmed that Nero's his son. So that was about the most that it got, though. But it was pretty simple premise. Demon hunter goes hunts demons, stops demons from doing bad things. Easy to follow, and it's one of, if not the greatest, like what you would call character action games ever. I know some people are going to scream God of War in my ear. Don't care. I think Devil May Cry is better. But in kind of remixing this, like, I really feel like they made a lot of really silly mistakes. So when they announced the series, I was interested to see what was going to go on. I'm curious as to like who's going to write it and all this other stuff, and like how this is all going to be put together. Apparently Adi Shankar wrote this on top of being the showrunner. And the instant that I saw that the opening theme of this was Rollin' by Limp Bizkit, I immediately went, no, you didn't. This is not a Devil May Cry show, is the conclusion I have come to. It's not. It is not a Devil May Cry show. It is a show that is meant to be a time capsule for the year 2001. That is what it is. It is a time capsule for the year 2001. all the music that they use in this was popular around that same time period. And not only that, it's stuff that was topping the rock charts as well. It's not things that actually fit Devil May Cry. Rollin' by Limp Bizkit does not fit Devil May Cry. It doesn't. Rap metal is not the Devil May Cry vibe. Never has been. Hard rock, heavy, or more just flat out heavy metal, and electronic music, oddly enough, and like industrial metal, things along those lines. Those have generally been like the stuff that gets used for Devil May Cry music. A lot of heavy guitars, some synth, things along those lines. And instead they're using stuff like Rage Against the Machine and Evanescence and, again, Limp Bizkit and stuff like that. And I'm sitting there saying to myself, like, what the hell is going on? The other thing about it is the aesthetics are wrong. They're all wrong. Like, one thing that gets introduced. So Kevin Conroy is in this. This is one of his last voice roles before he passed away. And boy, oh boy, do they waste him. But Kevin Conroy is in this. He plays not Dick Cheney. His character is basically Dick Cheney. Or how Adi Shankar sees Dick Cheney. The more I say this, the more you're going to realize why I say this is a time capsule for 2001, not a Devil May Cry show. But the bad guy, and he's one of the bad guys. They made him a Christian religious extremist. Because Dick Cheney.
Mm-hmm.
And basically he runs a private military organization called Dark Realm Command, or Dark Com. For some reason, Lady from the games works for this group. And she is voiced by Scout Taylor Compton. I would really like for Scout Taylor Compton to never be cast in anything again ever.
But you don't understand. She's a complex character now. She has motivation. Oh, fuck's sakes. I can't even pretend.
No,
I'm
she
sorry.
doesn't. No, she doesn't. That's the funny part. She really doesn't.
I heard people compare Lee's character to basically the Has-Been Hotel meme of if it was written by Vizzy Pop.
I wouldn't even go that far. It's somebody who thinks that the way to make a character sound more mature is they say the word fuck a lot.
That's Vizzy Pop's writing in that show.
I don't know. I've never watched Has-Been Hotel. But that's basically what it is. It is a 14-year-old's idea of what makes characters deep. She curses like a sailor, and she doesn't look like Lady except for the face and her build. Like, she's built the same.
For some reason, the uniform she wears, that she wears with her teammates and that weird team she's on, they all look like Captain Commando.
Yeah, I didn't realize that they looked like Captain and Commando until later, because I wasn't catching on to the color aesthetic. What I was thinking is like the designs of like the faces and their builds and like the weapons that they use and stuff like that. Because what they also kind of look like is stuff like they look like a team that would have been published in Wildstorm back in the early 2000s, like Stormwatch or Wildcats or something like that. But with the Captain Commando like color palette. Because like one character, one chick that's on the team literally is wearing Nightwing's mask. It's like blatant too. Like it's not even like a little different. It's flat out his mask. And I was like, you know that line from Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back? I think George Lucas is going to sue somebody. I was thinking that, but with DC Comics, because I'm like, what? Like, it literally looked like Rule 63 Nightwing. Like, in similar haircut to Dick Grayson, too. I was like, it looks like if Dick Grayson was a chick. In fact, she might have had the same weapons. No, she had ninja swords. Never mind. Nightwing uses Eskrima sticks. But regardless, the whole team had that sort of like 90s comic book aesthetic with the rest of their design. So I was like, what the hell's going on here? And effectively, what this basically is, like, the whole series is so fucking weird because when you watch it, the best episode in all of it is the 6th episode, which is the big... They actually do something that I'm a big fan of. They do a whole episode where there is maybe 5 lines of dialogue, if that. The whole story is just told through imagery. And it's the backstory of this version of Lady and the backstory of this version of, the bad guy, the White Rabbit. Effectively, the whole thing about it is like there's a lot of, God, I'm so upset by this that I'm kind of scatterbrained, so I do apologize. This is a show that comes across as if Rian Johnson was a ghostwriter on it.
Oh, no.
A lot of subverting expectations. And this is the problem with subverting expectations. It is a gamble. You are rolling dice. It's like playing 40K. And you're trying to roll a wound on somebody. 4 ups to wound. 4, 5, or 6 is a wound on most of the things you're going to hit. Or you're going to attack. Unless you're like attacking something bigger than yourself. So that's what you're doing. You're rolling the dice. It's a 50-50 chance. If it lands, it could be more effective than what you originally thought was going to happen. If it doesn't land, it's worse. Because not only have you managed to tell the audience, put the audience in a position where something that they didn't expect was going to happen, what ended up happening ended up being worse than what they were expecting. And it's lame. And that is not a fun feeling to be whenever you're in the audience. He does that a lot in this. The White Rabbit ends up being just a dude. Just some random kid. Yeah, just some random kid who had a thing for Alice in Wonderland that got stuck, like his parents were dead, so he got stuck in an orphanage. And like Alice in Wonderland was his one solace. He then when he goes out into an alleyway one day, there's a portal to hell there. He goes into it. He finds that some people are trying to stay away from Mundus because Mundus is still alive in this timeline. But Mundus is like a big ass tyrant and all this other shit. And he basically tries to find, like, there's some demons that are not evil, kind of like Sparta was not evil, that are hiding away from Mundus, but the air and everything is so toxic that some of them are dying from disease. So, shitty situation, he wants to get them out of there, take them to Earth, so that they're safe. And it backfires because this Darkcom unit, they don't care where you're from, they just see demons, so they just kill people.
They're absolutely correct.
Yeah, that's the problem. It's like they legitimately in a Devil May Cry game, like series, try to do a humans are the real bad guys narrative.
Try to do a war on terror.
No, we're not there yet. 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 Let me get there.
I'm sorry.
Because here's that comes later. Because it gets worse. Because of when it happens. But there is literally a humans are the real monsters plot in a Devil May Cry series. That's fucking stupid.
Absolutely stupid considering that, like, literally all the demons outside of Sparta are heartless fucking monsters. Soulless monsters.
The only exception is Trish, but she was created by Mundus to be a specific, like basically indistinguishable from a human.
And it kind of backfired for them.
Yes, big time. So having this out of nowhere was really weird. But again, it's an alternate universe, so, you know, it is what it is. But by trying to do a humans are the real monsters plotline is like, it comes out of nowhere, and it's just one particular character that's doing that. So anyway, and the big problem about it is that it's basically the Dick Cheney character that's like this. And it sucks because it's like, he feels like, it feels like the character was written by like our atheism over on Reddit. So it's very, very just kind of like weird. Like, I don't understand why he's there. He's just kind of there to just be like mustache twirlingly evil, but it's towards demons. So you're kind of like, what the fuck is the point of this? But anyway, sorry, I really need to get my thoughts straight on this. The basic idea is that they decide to do the origin stories of Lady and the White Rabbit in the 6th episode. But the problem is that the reveal of who the White Rabbit is so underwhelming on episode 6 that it's like, what the fuck? And then on top of that, with Lady, anybody who's played the games is going to be familiar with her background. They change it in this to where Arkham, instead of becoming like the devil priest that he becomes in Devil May Cry 3, it's more along the lines like he's trying to like integrate demon DNA into himself to become stronger. And he basically becomes a vampire that kind of in the face looks like the Jester from Devil May Cry 3. It's also very underwhelming. But if they had put that, though, earlier in the series instead of later, I think it would have been a lot more impactful, because it would have set up the idea of there's things going on in the demon world that we don't understand. There are demons in the demon world that don't want to be there. They're intelligent. They're not the type of creatures to just kill people for the sake of killing, so on and so forth. Like, they're more like Dante and Sparta than they are anything else. And they just want to get out of there.
Sparta, like, trying to leave, for fuck's sakes, man.
Doesn't that take away the uniqueness of Sparta, given the fact that at least half of the Devil May Cry games were about how he defended humanity and rebelled against Mundus? That he was the most only human to do that.
The problem the problem with how they do it is they could have done it well. The problem is they didn't. What the problem with what they did is they tried to make it that Sparta's the bad guy, actually. That Sparta's a dick for sealing.
Yeah, Sparta's a dick for not doing it sooner.
No, it's actually not that. It's Sparta's a dick for doing it and not getting all those people out of there.
Oh.
That's what they do. So they're trying to inject shades of gray into it, to the point where we get one of those moments at the end of the show where Dante literally goes like, if we unseal the between the realms, it's going to kill millions of people. Which is basically the writer saying my own story is stupid. Because they've been trying to make it as if that's a solution. And it's like, no, it's not a solution. Like, it's very badly written. And what makes it just even more annoying is just the idea that this is all happening in Devil May Cry. Like, the writing is... What makes it especially bad is the writing is cringe. Like, somebody doing a bad Joss Whedon impression cringe. There's a lot of Whedon speak.
Oh, hell.
Yeah. Like I said, they make Lady into... She just cusses like a sailor for no freaking reason. Dante does not have the trademark confidence in in an interesting way. He doesn't come across as that skilled sometimes. It's very inconsistent. Like,
Now,
he comes across skilled against Mooks, but not against Lady for some reason. Lady always one-ups him until the very last couple of episodes. He gets Homer Simpson.
Where Lady has to get the dub when they're fighting bigger demons. Again, I haven't seen it. I've only seen clips, and I've heard about it.
It's not so much that as whenever her and Dante are interacting with one another, she always one-ups him in their one-on-one things.
In the game.
No, yeah, it was very much the opposite in the games. Like, in Devil May Cry 3, every single interaction where Lady picks a fight with Dante makes a joke out of it. Because
doesn't he like dance with her at one point while she's fighting him?
Yes, he literally basically maneuvers her into a waltz while she's trying to kill him. People seem not to understand that, like, yeah, Dante has a crazy healing factor, but he's also stupid good at what he does. So at points, it's like whenever he is around her, he suddenly becomes that much less skilled and that much dumber. But every other time that there's a fight going on, he flat out fucking clowns dudes. And it's actually really entertaining to watch. It's like the fight scenes are actually, at least the ones that are 2D animated, are at least put together fairly well. The problem is that some of the demons in this are, instead of the 2D animation, they are 3D. And not very well done 3D CGI. So that's very jarring. They also changed some of the designs, like Agni and Rudra. Instead of their heads being their swords, they just have normal heads. And now they're Australian for some reason. Which is really weird, because you wonder why the fuck do Agni and Rudra then have heads on the pommels of their swords? Then the Neo Cavaliere is in this from Devil May Cry 5, which also doesn't make any sense because the Neo Cavaliere is a shell that had Trish in it that was created by... Spoilers. I won't spoil the ending of Devil May Cry 5. But, because people should play that game. It's amazing. But it's just such a weird thing where it just, nothing ever fits. Like, the music they use in one of the sequences is Guerrilla Radio by Rage Against the Machine. And though Guerrilla Radio is a good song, it doesn't fit Devil May Cry. Like, Guerrilla Radio is like fucking... Even though it is a catchy tune, it's also Kami Rara music. Doesn't really fit Dante.
It's there because it was in Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2, which is something that somebody probably played in the 2000s. I know I did.
Yeah, Time Capsule. Like, that's the same thing. Like, it was popular at that time, too, around when I was in high school, like my freshman, sophomore year. So regardless, this whole thing is just, it's a scatterbrained fucking mess. It does make a couple of good decisions. Like, the one good decision he makes to establish a threat in this is he kills off the rest of Lady's team unceremoniously. They fight the demons and they get destroyed. And and they do it to develop Lady's character. That she fucked up because she tried to rush into a situation that she wasn't prepped to take on, and it got her team killed. Now, do they build off of that to something interesting and character growth with her? No, they don't, because this show sucks. But that was a smart move, because it effectively made the demons feel like fucking, like, actual monsters. So... This was a show that really legitimately is like emblematic of one step forward, two steps back. And the worst part about it is the last couple of episodes. The final fight with the White Rabbit is underwhelming as hell. Virgil shows up. He is a 3D animated character and looks like shit. and he's in it for 5 seconds, and they didn't even get the guy who voices him to voice him again. They didn't do that with Dante either. Dante is voiced by Johnny Young Bosch, which was a weird pick. I like Johnny Young Bosch, but I like him as Nero, not as Dante. Because every time Dante spoke, I heard Nero, because he uses the exact same voice for him. So it's like this doesn't compute. So
I want to interject. I've seen the demon forms in the series, and they look like Kamen Rider villains.
Well, it's Japanese. Like all the. Are you talking about his Devil Trigger?
Yeah, the Devil Trigger form. I do not like it. They should, if they're going to use his if they're going to reference DMC 5 a whole lot, they should have used his demon form in DMC 5.
Well, it's the one that he has is it's a similar version to 3, not 5. But the difference is that his wings form his coat. So the thing is that, yeah, it does not look very good because, again, it's 3D animation. And the CG is just, it's not good. It's very low budget. It should have been 2D animated. It just should have been, but it was not for some fucking reason. But regardless, the problem is the last couple of episodes, because effectively when it ends, the whole thing ends with Adi Shankar has been having this whole thing of like humans are the real bad guys. And then what solidifies him basically standing in front of a microphone, pointing at Kevin Conroy's character and just going, Dick Cheney, Dick Cheney, Dick Cheney, Dick Cheney. Hey, that's Dick Cheney. Did you know that's Dick Cheney? Dick Cheney was a bad guy. Did you know Dick Cheney was a bad guy? Hey, remember the year 2002? Dick Cheney, Dick Cheney, Dick Cheney. Basically what happens. And it's like they literally have Dick Cheney character played by Kevin Conroy bombing hell with F-16s while American Idiot by Green Day plays.
I know it's real, but it just the stupidest fucking allegory you can make.
Let me say this first and foremost. If you're trying to turn demons into a Middle Eastern like commentary, what are you really trying to say there, Addy?
Right.
You know, that's what I said to my friend.
Like it's a little
too woke here.
It's a little that's a little too close to looking at orcs like they're black people. Like what the fuck are we doing here, buddy?
Oh my god! Can we please stop with this trend of using malicious creatures as allegory for real life ethnic groups? Because I said the same thing during my True Blood review. Stop fucking doing it.
It's because you're not saying what you think you're saying. That's the big problem with it.
Whatever social issue happening in the room, to just be blatant about it. I'd rather you be blatant than hide it behind allegory and make something like this where you basically imply that an entire race of people are fucking evil and from hell.
Yeah, pretty much. So yeah, that's like you kind of, it just kind of puts you in a situation where you're like, what the hell was the point of all of this? Because it's not Devil May Cry. That's like the biggest offense. It's not Devil May Cry. It is a 2001-2002 time capsule with a Devil May Cry skin suit. The music doesn't fit. The style doesn't fit. The attempt at pushing. I can't even say the message, because it's not the message from right now. It's the message from 2002. It's like Jon Stewart ghost wrote this.
Maybe he did.
Actually, you know what? No, not Jon Stewart. With Jon Stewart, it would have been funny at the very least. John Oliver. Because John Oliver's not funny. He's painfully unfunny.
I hate John Oliver, I'm not gonna lie. Oh my god.
He's fucking terrible. Like, he got famous because during that... I think we all need to admit that during the stretch of time from about, let's say 2006 to 2016, that 10-year period if you were British, it was way easier to get famous than anybody else. Because there's way too many famous people that I think of that it's like their whole caveat is they're British. That's it. Why is Prince Harry famous? Because he's British.
God.
Why is Jim Sterling famous? Because he's British. That's it.
Well, he pretends to be British. He's from Ohio.
Is he really?
Yes, he's from
I thought he was
Ohio.
originally from England.
I am like 80% certain that he's only having like a fake British accent.
I'm going to look into that. But regardless, but that's like it. But regardless, like the thing about this is like Devil May Cry is one of those things where you didn't need to inject a bunch of stuff into it to make it good. It doesn't need that. It's one of the like, and not to mention there's some Adi Shankar mistakes that get made. For some reason, he feels like everything needs to get like overly explained. And there can't be any actual magic. I'm going to give this a title. I'm going to call it Stripping the Wizard. Because it feels like you're taking the mysticism out of it. Because you, for some reason, are of the opinion that mysticism is inherently bad. It's like, there's this whole thing at the start of it where he has a scientist explain, in scientific terms, the what would happen if you split two dimensions, and effectively, in scientific terms, what the sword of Sparta does to dimensions, what it's effectively, how it's affecting physics. And it was fine because it made sense for the context. The context being that they are briefing the president on what is going on. And if you've got a bunch of men of science that are trying to explain demons, they are going to try to make it as scientific as humanly possible because they're having a hard time comprehending it otherwise. But the problem is that he also does this thing where he feels like he needs to consistently explain things. And it's like, no, you can just let this be what it is. You have established that there's another dimension. You've established that it's different from our own dimension. Ergo, some things are going to be different and some things are going to be fucking insane. That's enough. We don't need more. But he keeps going. It's like, we don't need that. Like, the bad guy being, like, or one of the two bad guys, the not Dick Cheney guy, him being a religious zealot really came out like something out of our atheism. It's just you, like, saying, this is what I think of Christians. That's what it comes across as. And as such, like, you just make it, it just sucks all the fun out of it. And it's like, at the end of the day, it really feels like a series that was made by people that have never played a Devil May Cry game. Like, it just doesn't fit. Like, it's just bad. And I don't get it. I don't understand why they felt the reason to do it this way. But the fact that it ended the way that it did made me just say, it's like, Adi Shankar is a hack. He really is.
It's starting to sound like it. I mean, like, bro is desperate to, like, get some old, like, it's kind of chafing my ass, everything you keep saying here, because, like, we get it. The war on terror was bad. This is all, like, that whole thing is bad. Nobody is like saying, oh yeah, Bush was right, this, that, and the other. But, like, to, like, waste the one chance you got on a good, like, series, just to go for, you know, go Bush is bad. That's bullshit, man. It sucks. It's
It's so weird to me. It's like, this didn't need to be what it is. And the fact that it is what it is going to be endlessly frustrating because it seems like a lot of people that have been rejecting it have been longtime Devil May Cry fans. And a lot of the people that are embracing it just because it fits the message, quote unquote, or at least they think it does. And it's like, yeah, but that like this, it's not Devil May Cry. Like, Devil May Cry is fun. And a Devil May Cry series, the worst thing you can do is make it just bad and overcomplicated. Because from what I never watched the Madhouse series, the worst I heard about the Madhouse series is just that it's boring. In which case, I don't know how the fuck you make Devil May Cry boring, but it is. So
I don't know. It feels so fucking wrong that they went to all this production time, all this just to get like an allegory for 2001.
Yeah.
Honestly, if you were really committed to having the humans be the bad guy, there was a way to do this, and it would be one, keep the demons as they are, monsters, where I think low-level demons are just treated as kind of mindless, and it's the higher-level demons, they're like the most powerful, and they have intelligence, kind of like the way hollows are presented in Bleach. Have the humans want to purposely break the barrier between dimensions to go fuck with hell because there's something valuable there, and you can have the entire thing be like Mundus is tricking them.
Yeah, something like that would have worked a lot better.
And it will work because it has worked. Because what recent piece of media did something similar to that? Doom 2016.
Pretty much. It's one of those things where this is the last thing I have to say about this before we move on to the next topic. Do not let this man touch Berserk.
There will be a goddamn riot if he touches fucking Berserk. I quite
or
earnest.
Devilman.
Worse with Devilman, I think, because it has, like, you know, it is pretty edgy for the time.
Berserk is not a vehicle for you to tell your stories. Berserk is for its own story.
Exactly. Devilman, at the very least, if he did it, it would be, you could just say it's another cycle. You know, but I don't think they're gonna do that. It's one of those things where I'm curious to see how this plays out, if they give him another season or if he moves on to something else. I am hoping that Netflix sees the negative backlash towards this, because it's just not good. It's not good. The one thing I will say, though, I do think people saying, like, oh, the franchise is ruined because this, no, it fucking isn't. Shut up. Shut up. Shut mouth. Just shut up. The video games are still incredible.
Also, to be real, the franchise survived the 2006 anime, which was just okay. It wasn't terrible. It was just okay.
It survived Devil May Cry 2.
I hear rumors that Dante's voice actor retired specifically because he wasn't being cast for this.
I found out that he retired because he wanted to do his own project.
Oh, okay. Okay, cool.
I saw that misinformation going around.
Yeah, I have no doubt that if Capcom called him tomorrow, say, hey, we're doing Devil May Cry 6, you down? He's going to say yes.
Would you like some money to do a thing you've already done?
Yeah.
Also, it's not exactly a professional look for you to quit and your entire career over someone not casting you in a role.
Yeah, he doesn't really strike me as the kind of guy to do something like that. It's one of those things where, you know, he's just wanting to focus on his own thing. But I imagine that he will because he's got really good relations with Capcom. And this guy's been working with them since '05. I mean, he's even done motion capture for several of their games. So, yeah, there will inevitably be a Devil May Cry 6 because, quite frankly, even though Itsuno is gone, they did get Shinji Mikami and Hideki Kamiya back. So
seems like a fucking miracle, honestly.
Yeah, and not to mention, Devil May Cry 5 sold 9 million fucking copies. There's gonna be a 6. it's gonna happen. So, Ruben Langdon will probably return as Dante at some point. If you were to tell me that the reason that Ruben was not contacted to voice the character in this was political, given the tone of it, I would believe it. I got no evidence, but I would believe it. It would make sense. But regardless,
I want to bring up something really important since you mentioned Hideki Kamiya. Check your account on Twitter and see if you're blocked by him, because if you aren't, you haven't been living.
No.
I mean, he's not wrong.
I'm not blocked by him just because I've never interacted with him on Twitter.
Same thing with me.
You haven't been living then.
Not to mention, I also wouldn't say anything to piss him off either. Because I enjoy most of what he's done.
It doesn't take
much. It doesn't take a lot.
Anyway, let's go ahead and move on to the next topic.
Yeah.
So the Switch 2 was announced.
Get
Yes.
into that story.
It's an interesting thing because the Switch 2 gets announced. Gets a ton of games announced for it. They're getting a FromSoft exclusive multiplayer game called The Dust Bloods, aka not Bloodborne. Kirby Air Ride! Xavier! Kirby Air Ride!
We can finally do war crimes again.
Yeah, Atherin rides again! But they're doing a new Mario Kart and a bunch of other stuff. The price of the Switch 2 is about $500, which is a little steep, admittedly, for something that is probably running on last gen tech. But they also announced some other stuff, like apparently, like Elden Ring is going to be out on it, like the whole shebang in one nice package. Another Hyrule Warriors game. What else am I forgetting?
Oh god! Actually, the first one is fantastic.
Oh yeah, Donkey Kong. Oh, Cyberpunk 2077. They're putting FF7 Remake Integrate on there, which means that they will probably do Rebirth not long after once they figure out how to make it work on the console. Street Fighter 6. Stuff like that. The problem is that they announced a couple things that were controversial. But it wasn't in the Nintendo Direct announcement. It was instead put out by the journalists, and it was confirmed afterwards. The game pricing is fucking absurd.
What,
$80. $80 for digital titles, $90 for physical. Some physical games apparently aren't even physical games. They're a download token.
They're really trying to get ahead of piracy on this one, and I don't think it's going to work.
I don't think so either. They've
encouraged piracy.
Yeah, because you're pricing yourself out of the market. This is the same problem that Sony has with the PlayStation 5. Nobody wants a PlayStation 5 because it's too fucking expensive. And
no exclusives, too expensive. Oh god.
And the fact that they priced themselves out of the market is the reason that Squaresoft got pissed at them. And why they're like, hey, we're not doing more exclusives with you. Because of them pricing themselves out of the market, unlike what they did with the PS4, effectively the FF7 Rebirth, which should have sold gangbusters, didn't. Not until it went on PC.
And suddenly there was basically all the important mods ever created, like the
Naked
sure
Tifa. We'll just put it that way. But regardless, the fact of the matter is that there is a there's a really weird mistake being made here. It's just the idea of overpricing your games. Because, like, who do you think the fuck is going to want to fucking buy it? You know? Like, it's absolutely insane to me because, like, I look at a lot of these, like, some of these games, it's like, why would I want to pay this much for something that I already own just to have it on the go? Like, nah, fuck off, dude. Like, when I bought Doom 2016 on my Switch, it was $50, but it was only like a year after it came out. So the price made sense for the time. You're going to charge me $80 for Elden Ring, a game I can get for $60 on PC. Go fuck yourself. You know? Like, like, not every game has adopted the $70 thing. In fact, it really seems to be something that's just kind of divisive. And on top of that, let me just say this. Like, I understand if there are people out there who like Nintendo. Nintendo does not like you. There is not a more corporatized brand in the world of gaming, in my opinion, outside of EA than Nintendo.
I think they've basically just only gotten by on like all this fucking goodwill that they've had for like, and I don't even know where they got it from.
I think that it's the Wii advertisements. People think of the Wii advertisements and Miyamoto-san showing up to your door and be like, "We would like to play." Oh, it's friendly Japanese man. He loves all of us. No, he fucking doesn't. He loves your money. Hey, Miyamoto-san, look at this wonderful fan project I made because I love your work. You're banned! No more! Fucking gaijin!
Yes, I can't think of any other fucking company that has like tanked more fan projects than Nintendo. And it's like they're not charging money for anything. They're not like infringing on property, really, considering that all they're doing is just maybe upscaling graphics in a couple areas in certain cases. And it just chaps the ass when I think about all the shit that they've done over the years. Like you can't even make like a fan game or like you're not even like being paid for it. And then all of a sudden it's cease and desist. Like
the worst part is that you're very publicly doing this fan game and you're getting a lot of attention, and Nintendo will say nothing. However, the day you're finished and your labor of love is complete, now they send you the cease and desist to let you know that no, you're not allowed to do that thing that you just did, and you're certainly not going to build a reputation off of it. Not on their proverbial dollar.
It's off-putting. Just how malicious they can get. They're
Meanwhile,
almost as worded.
Sega, you do a fan project for Sega games, they love that shit. If it's good, they hire you.
And then come to think of it, like the only ones worse than Nintendo like lawyers is fucking like Games Workshop, but that's because they have to be over in the UK. If they don't defend it, they'll lose their fucking IP.
Basically,
I don't think there is such a high level of requirement of defense over here for projects.
Even with Games Workshop, they've also like hired people that do fan stuff. Because like that's how the Astartes guy like is working for them now. and he did Secret Level, and now he's doing Astartes 2, which I'm looking forward to because it's gonna be the fucking Death Watch. But regardless, like I just like I don't know what the fuck Nintendo is thinking, but I do know one thing: I'm not buying this fucking console. It's just it doesn't seem worth it. It really doesn't. So it is what it is.
Mm-hmm. And then,
All right.
like,
go ahead, Mike.
Think about like the Pokemon games, right? Like just how shit they've been, and they're coasting by on names alone. It's the only way they can go that I can put it.
I have a question.
Hmm.
I hear that the reason the prices are so high is because of tariffs or something, and I don't know how true that is.
Oh, the tariff thing. Yeah. So apparently, according to Nintendo, they're delaying pre-orders for the Switch 2 because Donald Trump put tariffs out there on like fucking everybody. I don't know what to think of this part. The cynical part of me wants to say that they are saying this because they might.
It's a good scapegoat.
Yeah, it's a good scapegoat. That's a good wording for it. Like, hey, like let's divert attention away from our stupid pricing to have all the game journalists go Trump bad, because that's what game journalists do. But I don't know if that's necessarily the case or if there's some truth to it. I admittedly don't know enough about how tariffs might affect the costs of things.
I know a little bit. Obviously, there's that percentage of tax of your final what your final price is supposed to be. There's like a percentage tax that's added on top of that when you're bringing it in, but it's usually done in like bulks, not like a per unit, like or unit sold or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
The Nintendo prices were likely decided a long time ago. Whether they knew tariffs were coming or not, they had a figure ready to go. The fact that the pre-orders are not being taken now, they've rescheduled when they're going to allow pre-orders. That's probably because they're waiting to see whether or not they actually have to do a price increase as a result of the tariffs. Because those tariffs aren't official yet. They're just, this is what we're going to do. They've not been, they're not implemented yet. I believe even when Donald Trump says he's going to put in a tariff, there is a long period before those actually get implemented, where those start getting collected. Because they can change, and obviously in certain situations, a new rate can be negotiated between the U.S. and Japan, in which case that tariff doesn't exist. It might as well not even be there. So, more than likely, yes, this entire thing is likely just a scapegoat. This was always going to be Nintendo's price.
Well, there you have it, folks. And needless to say, I'll be skipping on this. I think if they're trying to avoid piracy, I don't think this is gonna work. Like, I think that right now they're in a position where they thought that this was gonna be all sunshine and rainbows of an announcement. It wasn't, and now they just need to figure that they need to actually, either double down on it or make some adjustments. It's up to them. My money would be, if I was a betting man, that they are probably going to double down. And I have a feeling that the Switch 2 is probably going to underperform. So, next topic. Sarita.
Hello.
This is your fault.
Explain this bullshit.
It's all. But I got you the good shit, don't I?
Yeah. All right, so tell us why John Boyega can't shut up.
Apparently, John Boyega, like a couple of days ago, John Boyega came out ranting against Star Wars fans for being too white and not accepting of a black person being the lead role. of the Star Wars sequel, even though that technically wasn't true when the sequel trilogy started to come out. So, like I said, we don't really know where this is coming from after like so many years. But what he said was, let me find the actual quote. Sorry. Like, I'm sorry, I'm trying to find the actual quote.
So I think like Bro was like kind of maybe realized that if he keeps like shitting on his former bosses for being the actual problem, because his former bosses were the actual problem here, he might not get any more roles. So I can kind of understand.
Okay, here's what he said. John Boyega called out Star Wars fans for being so white during an interview as part of a new Apple TV original documentary, #1 on the call sheet, Black Leading Men in Hollywood. And he had basically said, this is his quote, "Let me tell you, Star Wars has always had the vibe of being in the most whitest elite space. It's a franchise that's so white that a black person existing in it was something." And then to go on, there's another part. They're okay with us playing the best friend, but once we touch their heroes, once we lead, once we trailblaze, it's like, oh my God, it's just a bit too much. They're pandering.
Uh-huh.
I don't know where the fuck this came from.
Also, which Star Wars fans is he talking about? Original trilogy Star Wars fans or Disney Star Wars fans? Because they are not the same.
Does it? He doesn't specify. He just says Star Wars fans. He said at the time, what I would say to Disney is that do not bring out a black character, market them to much more important in the franchise than they are, and then have them pushed to the side. It's not good. I'll say it straight up. So yeah, this sounds like to me that he has bitterness towards Disney for the way they treated his character. He's just like, because he can't attack his former bosses, he's going to attack the fans. Kind of like, the bully can't, retaliate against back their parents, but they'll like take out someone weaker than them.
I gotta attack somebody.
That's what
it's starting to sound like, honestly.
Apparently, this is for like a documentary.
Oh boy. Yeah, bro. I'm gonna say like I am like 80% certain he realizes he can't attack his former bosses because he knows where his bread is buttered. He's not going to attack his former bosses because that's just going to completely dry up any like chances he can get of getting like of new work, and he's covering his own ass effectively. And I don't blame him because everyone needs to eat and everyone wants to keep having work. But it's...
Who is that black actor that got blacklisted after he came out against Joss Whedon? He played Cyborg in the in that Justice League, the Snyder Justice League movie.
Mm-hmm. So there is precedent.
Or other. Yeah.
So there is precedent, and I don't blame him.
We haven't heard from him in like years, and I think that's why John Boyega decides to attack the fans instead of his employers directly, because it's very clear that he has resentment towards Disney, but he can't be like obvious about it.
Yeah, the last movie he was in was a movie called They Cloned Tyrone. I've
never heard of that.
Yeah. So that's look. I feel like this is the dumbest shit because it's the one thing that was a commonality that I saw with people who were super critical of Star Wars, the sequel trilogy, was basically the statement of it should have been Finn.
Should have been Finn. They set him up perfectly. Because like Bro was like a stormtrooper. He could have been damn it. And it should have been him like becoming the Jedi for like the next couple of movies. But no, it had to be Rey. Like Rey could have been the problem solver for like the next couple of movies, while Finn was the one that was supposed to go like be the Jedi and do wizard shit. But
honestly, what it comes down to is that Disney doesn't know how to do an ensemble cast.
They made Rey do way too much. Way too much. They made her the know-it-all on top of the space wizard. And you really, really, really don't want to like mix everybody into one, all your archetypes into one person. Because then they just come off as a Mary Sue, because they solve all the problems by themselves. Like if Rey was the know-it-all and she helps solve some of the problems, like even like most of the problems, like piloting or doing like the scavenging and whatnot, and while Finn was like the guy that was awakening to be the space wizard, I don't think anybody would have had any problems whatsoever. Because Finn should have been the guy for like the next, like all 3 movies, but no, he got turned into fucking a background fucking comedy character, and it's ridiculous.
I think what would have been great is if Finn and Rey both became Jedi, but Rey was more like a traditionalist Jedi because she found that she had the Jedi text. She's trying to become a Jedi as like they were before. Finn tries to redefine what it means to be a Jedi just by learning Force powers, like kind of becoming more of a gray Jedi. And then obviously you've got a failed Sith Dark Jedi with Kylo Ren.
Kylo.
And what ultimately happens is you have this 3-way battle for the soul of the Force and where it's going. Because at this point, Palpatine has not somehow returned. Therefore, there is no dark side. But the Force is still in shambles.
80 to 90% of everyone is fucking dead.
Yeah. So it's kind of like there's a situation here where nobody is wrong, but nobody is right. It's up to these 3 to kind of figure out where things are going to go. Do they go back to the Jedi who seal off their emotions? Do we go the path of, no, we have emotions, but, we also have a lot of fucking problems that come with it? Or do we try and find a new path? And Finn coming from, working for the First Order and growing up as a child soldier, and only learning about the Force as an adult, he may be able to find that bit of that new path. And it could have been really, really interesting, but China doesn't like minorities. And
that's the whole call of it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, like
and Disney was making movies for China.
Yeah, like why not just like if you can't blame Disney, at least just blame China, man. I don't think anybody hold it against you.
Maybe except the Chinese, but fuck them.
Yeah, fuck. Don't trust China. China is asshole.
China don't like black people.
They don't like anybody, to be honest. I don't even think they like other Chinese.
They do not.
Oh, man. All right. Final topic of the day is a bit dark. So, Russell Brand, a guy that I don't think I've ever actually watched one of his movies. Let me look at his filmography real quick.
I'll be earnest, I have not seen a single one of his movies. I'm told he's a comedian of some kind. And now a conspiracy theorist on YouTube.
Apparently he's in Despicable Me. Which I never saw, oddly enough.
I hear it's good for what it is.
Yeah, I like Despicable Me.
Yeah, I
Never
don't
seen it either.
I don't really see much on here that I've ever seen. Or I don't think there's anything in here I've ever seen. But I like Russell Brand. He was like famous for being in comedy movies. Get Him to the Greek was one. Forgetting Sarah Marshall is another one.
He was also famous in Katy Perry back when I was in high school.
Yeah.
When you
but
were
regardless, Russell Brand was kind of an interesting guy because at some point he just decided to like do a lot less acting and comedy stuff, and he just decided to start podcasting. And he started out as like super hippie commie man, and was very adamant about being super hippie commie man. And then at some point he just starts kind of having discussions with people who aren't super hippie commie people. And it's really interesting because I actually listened to a couple of those conversations he had with like political commentators that some of the few that I watch, or philosophy guys. Like his conversation with Jordan Peterson was really interesting, I thought. And then the next thing you know, a few years later, he becomes more conservative, and then becomes a Christian. Speaking as a member of that particular religious persuasion, thumbs up from me. That's always a plus. But this was kind of a dark turn in the story of Russell Brand. So, from CBS News, it says here, London's Metropolitan Police have charged comedian and actor Russell Brand with 1 count of rape, oral rape, and indecent assault, and 2 other counts of sexual assault, the police force said Friday. Brand issued a statement on Friday, denying the allegations against him. British detectives have said that they started investigating the TV star in September of 2023, after receiving a number of allegations which followed reporting by Channel 4's Dispatches and the Sunday Times. In September of 2023, the British media outlets published claims by 4 women who said they were sexually assaulted and raped by Brand between 2006 and 2013 at the height of his fame. The women who have made reports continue to receive support from specially trained officers. The Met's investigation remains open, and detectives ask anyone who has been affected by this case, or anyone who has any information, to come forward and speak with police. According from Metropolitan Police Detective Superintendent Andy Furphy said in a statement on Friday. Police said in a statement that Brand would appear in a London court for a first hearing on May the 2nd. That Brand was charged by the police via postal requisition, so is not in custody. He is to remain free on bail until his court appearance. For sexual assault? I wonder what the bail was set at. It doesn't say. In a video posted Friday on social media, Brand claimed the law in UK has become kind of a weapon to be used against people, institutions, and sometimes entire nations that will not accept and tolerate levels of corruption that are unprecedented, asking Britons, how do you feel about your legal system? In the video, which appeared to have been recorded outside of the UK, Brand alluded to his adoption of Christianity, saying that I was, and I quote, I was a fool before I lived in the light of the Lord. I was a drug addict, a sex addict, and an imbecile. But what I never was a rapist. I never engaged in non-consensual activity. I pray that you can see that by looking in my eyes. He concluded by thanking his supporters, saying he was grateful to have the opportunity to defend himself against the charges in court. And then the other articles that I saw from NBC News didn't really have any much different, but the NBC News article said that some of these accusations go back to 1999. Which is really weird, because the general train of thought is, there's 2 things to consider. First is innocent until proven guilty.
The most important.
Yeah, that is the most important, is presumption of innocence. The second thing that makes things weird to me, because generally speaking, you operate with the people you know is trust but verify. In this particular case, we're talking about things that happened over 20 years ago. We are going to prove this how?
Right, because would you have like the tests and kits from that time, or is it just all allegations?
I don't. Also, why did you wait until now to come out with these allegations? Why didn't you do them then and there when it happened? Because it seems like what's bothering you until now.
Also, the fact that they're willing to prosecute in the UK doesn't really mean much, because remember, the UK prosecuted that person for that Game of Thrones star. He walked past her, and she alleged that while he was walking past her, he managed to slide a finger into her as he walked past. And he ate shit for years over that before I think that went away.
I'm gonna be honest. This is coming as a woman. I think he's doing it for attention.
Feels like that, doesn't it? Like,
it is weird. Because if you're willing to wait fucking 20, 30 years to come out with an allegation where the statute of limitations have long passed, then I'm going to assume she's doing it for like ulterior motives.
Well, and there's also the weird thing about it is that there's also a lawsuit against Russell Brand in New York for something similar. Filed in 2023 by an extra on the comedy called Arthur, which again is another thing over 10 years after it supposedly happened, and the alleged victim has not been named. Said that he assaulted her in the bathroom. So
having sex and then regretting it does not count as assault.
Well, we don't even know if that's what happened. We don't know if he even had any sexual contact with any of these women. Or, some cases it might very much be that. Others, like, supposedly he molested you in the bathroom. Where was this at? Like, was this on set at a film? In which case, how the fuck did he pull that off with as many people are usually on a film set? So, it's one of those things where the timing of this is very weird. It's just it strikes me as weird. And because it strikes me as weird, my first instinct is to just kind of doubt that this happened.
At the very minimum, it seems like, I don't know how to put this, but it's like, because he switched teams, all of a sudden you're just going to immediately regret it, and like, oh no, now he actually raped me. That's how it feels. Like, this is punishment for switching teams. It feels like, as awful as that sounds.
It's entirely possible. The other thing that it just kind of makes me think that it could have been a consensual thing, and they're just looking for their 15 minutes. It's hard to tell, because when it comes to things like this, the water is pretty much forever poisoned in regards to taking some of these accusations seriously, because it seems like it's very rare that they actually end up being something.
The worst part is that even if they're dismissed because there's just no evidence, he has to live with that stigma.
Pretty much.
It's stuck with him forever at this point. Terrible.
Yeah, I don't know what to make of this. Like, it's, again, my instinct, given the way this is all coming out, is just to say, like, something about this it's fishy.
Something is rotten in the state of Denmark.
Yeah. And I don't exactly. Well, we'll just say this. You know, he's gonna get his day in court, and at the end of the day,
hopefully sooner than later.
Yeah, at the end of the day, the burden of proof is on the accuser.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and you know, when the court case happens, we will see what the truth of any of it is, if there is any. And you know, hopefully, again, no matter what, I hope justice is served. Because if he did do this, then he deserves punishment. If he didn't, then it's going to make me wish that there were penalties for false accusations. We'll just put it that way. Goodness.
Oh, it's terrible, isn't it?
Mm.
I had to do something happy. Like, I think that maybe tomorrow I'm going to make donuts. Just a bunch of donuts and just eat myself into a fucking sugar coma. I kind of need it after all of that, the BS that I went through with the fucking Devil May Cry shit. Just, terrible. Terrible!
Mike.
Absolutely terrible.
I have something we can do together that'll make you feel better.
Well, G-Quox comes out this week, doesn't it?
Well, there's that, but we could also watch a Gundam that I've been telling you need to watch for years, and I know you haven't.
I'm still... Turn A is still the rainy day. And the rainy day is not here yet. So, it will happen at some point. But one thing I admittedly have been enjoying is I have been learning the Warhammer 40k tabletop. And I'm not going to lie, it's complicated, but it is a blast to play, to say the least. So, with that said, folks, not the most uplifting show in the world, but hopefully at least it was entertaining. And yeah, we are going to go ahead and call it a show here. I want to thank everybody for listening to us once again. If you have not already followed the podcast on wherever you are listening to us to, whether it be YouTube or any of the other podcasting networks or anything like that, please go ahead, shoot us a follow, shoot us a like, all that fun stuff that will help us grow, and it is greatly appreciated. So with all that said, we're going to go ahead and bring this to a close. Thank you all so much for listening.
Comment, and subscribe, or I will find you, and I will sass you.
He means it.
Admiral.
But no, we appreciate all you guys. Thank you so much for listening. We will see you guys next time, but until then, my name is Micah Curtis, the head of Grindstone Arts, and we will see you guys next time.
Bye.
Later.